Welcome back. Today we are going to discuss network regulation. The learning objective for today is to understand how the network contributes to linking supply and demand for electricity. Moreover, I will explain to you why there is need for regulation here. The need for network regulation lays in the fact that the electricity network is a natural monopoly. We have the market for electricity, which is the sale and purchase of electricity sales by generators and purchases by customers. This is a free market. There is competition between generators. There can even be competition between consumers. But the one thing in common for this market, for all users, is that everybody needs access to the electricity grid. There is no other way to get the electricity physically from the generator to the end consumers. Therefore, the electricity grid forms a monopoly. There's only one electricity network which connects all the generators and consumers. And it is not economically feasible to duplicate this infrastructure. Therefore, the electricity grid is a natural monopoly. Now, because of this, we should guarantee that grid access is arranged at fair terms for all consumers. This means that the tariffs for network users are fair and that the network operators provide an acceptable level of quality and service. These are the main focuses of network regulation. In this slide, we have our market parties again. The generators who sell electricity and the consumers who purchase electricity, possibly by the means of middlemen, the retailers. The big question now is, how does this transaction transform into an electricity delivery? For this, we need the electricity grid, the transmission grid and the distribution grid. All mutually competing generators and all customers need access to the same grid. We have organized this in Europe by so-called open access to the electricity network. Everybody has the right to connect to the electricity grid and either to inject produced electricity or to extract electricity for consumption. This open grid access is the key to the functioning of the European electricity market. In fact, the electricity grid can be compared with a water lake. Generators pour water into the lake, and the consumers use water from the lake. The water level in the lake should remain more or less the same. Since we have many generators who inject electricity into the grid, and since we have many consumers who use electricity from the grid, there should always be a balance between both. The amount of injected electricity, measured in kilowatt hours or megawatt hours, should match the amount consumed at each moment in time. To this end, the open access of the electricity grid is associated with rules and regulations. And these rules are set by the regulator. They consist of two components. The one is the price for using the grid tariff, and the other one is the quality of the service by the grid. We will discuss both issues. Grid use has a price. The network operator makes cost for maintenance and for network expansion, and therefore there should be an appropriate price for network use. Since the network represents a natural monopoly, this price is set by the regulator. The price for network access and network use is called the electricity network tariff, or simply the network tariff. The network tariff forms thus a part of the final electricity price paid by end consumers, together with the cost for purchasing electricity on the electricity market. So overall, we have several components which make up the total electricity bill. We have the network tariff for using the electricity grid, and we have the market price for purchasing electricity. These latter cover the cost of electricity generation and needs therefore to be paid to the generator. And of course there may be surcharges for the middleman, the retailer. So the final consumer price then consists of a combination of the market components and the network components. The market price on the one hand and the network tariffs on the other hand. The electricity market defines the market price for electricity and the regulator sets the network tariffs. Another objective of network regulation is to set the required quality level of the network service. Because there's only one network to use, consumers are unable to negotiate an appropriate quality level themselves. You may think here about the reliability of the network or the customer service of the network operator. Therefore, the regulator needs to define what is an appropriate quality level. In practice, regulation consists also of detailed technical standards for the network itself and for network transports. In order to provide incentives for network companies to offer an optimal service to network users, the regulation consists, for instance, of reliability requirements. This stimulates network services of a higher quality. We reach the conclusion of this lecture. Whereas the electricity market is governed by the law of supply and demand, network access needs regulation. Competition on the electricity market makes sure that the price to be paid for the commodity, electricity itself, is on an optimal level. The generation price and the retail surcharge are indirectly set by the demand of market consumers, as they may select their own supplier or choose their own generator. There is competition that defines the price. For network use, however, there's no competition. And for this reason, we need a regulator to define what's an appropriate price for network use. This price balances the interest of consumers and the network company. Of course, consumers want to have the lowest cost possible. At the same time, the network needs to be operated, maintained, expanded. So the balance between these costs and revenues generated by the network tariff is set by the regulator. The regulator also sets the minimum quality level for the network. This may include an adequate level of reliability and certain customer service standards. Regulation therefore ensures efficient prices and adequate quality for the network services offered.